It was supposed to be just another night. Mark had recently moved into an old apartment building on the edge of town, a place he chose only because the rent was cheap. The hallway was long and narrow, lit by a single flickering bulb. He had grown used to the creaks of the old wood and the smell of dampness that lingered in the air. For the first week, nothing strange happened, just silence. But on the eighth night, he noticed something. At the very end of the hallway, where a door always stood shut, there seemed to be scratches, deep claw marks running down the rotting wood as if something inside had been trying to tear its way out. He was sure they hadn't been there before. Every time he walked past that door, a cold draft brushed against his skin, carrying with it a faint smell of mildew and iron. Mark told himself it was nothing, probably vandals or just the wood cracking over time. But the next evening, as he passed the door again, he froze. A pair of faint, glowing red lights shimmered through the crack underneath. Eyes, watching him. He blinked and they vanished. He even laughed nervously at himself, muttering, "I'm tired, that's all. Just tired." But when he looked again, the eyes were back. This time, they blinked. That night, as the wind howled outside, he woke to a sound echoing through the hallway. Knock, knock, knock. It came from the door. He sat up in bed, heart racing, straining his ears. The knocks grew louder, faster. Then, silence. And then, a voice, low, rasping, almost a whisper. "Don't open the door." Mark pulled the blanket tighter around his body, frozen in the darkness of his small apartment. He tried convincing himself it was just his imagination, that maybe one of the neighbors was playing a cruel joke. But the hallway outside was empty. He knew it. Nobody else lived on that floor. The whisper came again, louder this time, crawling into his skull like a parasite. "Don't open the door." He pressed his hands against his ears, trembling, but the voice didn't stop. It wasn't coming through the air anymore. It was inside his head. He stood up, barefoot, and crept into the hallway. The single light bulb buzzed above, swaying slightly, though no wind blew. The long corridor stretched before him, lined with peeling wallpaper and deep scratches etched into the walls. At the very end, the door waited. The same red eyes burned behind the crack, brighter now, blinking in slow, deliberate rhythm, as if mocking his hesitation. Mark's breath came out in white clouds, though the air shouldn't have been that cold. The smell of rot grew stronger the closer he walked. His skin prickled, his vision blurred at the edges, like the hallway itself was bending, stretching longer with every step. Then, a deep growl vibrated from the other side. The doorknob twisted just once, then stilled, and the voice returned, almost pleading this time. "Don't open it, please." Mark's trembling hand reached for the wall, trying to steady himself. The wallpaper felt damp, almost pulsing, like the hallway itself was breathing. He snatched his hand back, staring in disbelief as wet, black stains spread where his palm had touched. He swallowed hard. This isn't real. It can't be real. But the sound from the other side of the door grew louder, not knocking anymore, scratching. Long, dragging claws raked the wood, carving deeper grooves into it. Dust rained from the frame as if the entire doorway was straining to hold something back. The bulb above him flickered violently. For a brief second, the hallway plunged into pitch black. When the light snapped back, the red eyes were gone. Mark froze. His chest tightened. The silence was worse than the noise. Then, from behind him, tap, tap, tap. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, echoing across the warped floorboards. He spun around. The hallway behind him was empty, but the bulb swung harder, as though someone had just brushed past it. Mark's breath hitched. He turned back toward the door. It was open. Just a crack. From the darkness inside, a thin hand, gray and skeletal, reached out. Its fingers scraped against the wooden floorboards, curling as though searching for something or someone. The whisper returned, now louder, closer, almost desperate. "Don't open the door! Don't open the door!" But the door was already opening. The door creaked wider, inch by inch, without anyone pushing it. The skeletal hand dragged forward, its nails leaving deep, splintered grooves in the floorboards. Mark's heart pounded so hard he thought it might burst out of his chest. The red eyes were back now, brighter, closer, no longer confined to the gap. They hovered just beyond the threshold, glowing like burning coals in the darkness. A voice slithered into his head again, but this time it wasn't a whisper. It was layered, distorted, like 100 voices speaking at once. Don't open the door. But the words didn't sound like a warning anymore. They sounded like a taunt. Mark stumbled backward, his legs weak, yet he couldn't bring himself to run. The hallway behind him stretched longer and longer, as if retreat was impossible. The air grew heavy, suffocating. The bulb above him finally burst with a sharp pop, showering sparks onto the floor. For a split second, the hallway was lit only by the faint glow of those red eyes. And then, he heard it. A breath. Wet, rattling, and impossibly close, coming from the darkness beyond the door. The skeletal hand clenched into a fist, slamming the floor. The walls shook, dust raining down, and the door, now wide open, revealed nothing but pitch-black void. From that void, something began to crawl out. Something scraped across the floor as it pulled itself into the hallway. At first, Mark thought it was still just a shadow, but the longer he stared, the more it began to take shape. A figure, hunched, impossibly thin, its body twisted like broken branches. Skin stretched tight over bones, gray and cracked, leaking dark fluid that stained the wood beneath it. Its head tilted unnaturally far to one side. Those glowing red eyes blinked once, slowly and fixed directly on him. Mark tried to scream, but his throat closed, no sound coming out. His legs shook, refusing to move. The thing's mouth opened, wide, too wide. Rows of jagged, uneven teeth glistened in the faint light, and then, with that same layered, distorted voice, it whispered again. Closer now, inside his skull. Don't open the door. But it was already out. The hallway groaned as if the entire building was straining under its weight. Paint peeled off the walls, the floorboards curled upward like they were rotting in fast motion. The figure dragged itself forward, one claw at a time, every step echoing with a wet, sickening crack. Behind it, the door slammed shut on its own, the sound reverberating like a gunshot. And now, there was no way back. Mark staggered backward until his spine pressed against a damp wall. The creature crawled closer, its red eyes unblinking, its teeth grinding like broken glass. The hallway around him was collapsing, walls bending inward, ceiling cracking, floorboards warping. It was as if the world itself was being swallowed by the thing that had slipped through the door. Mark tried to run, but when he turned, the corridor behind him was gone. In its place stretched an endless black void. The voice came again, but now it was no longer pleading, no longer warning. It was laughing. Don't open the door. Don't open the door. Don't open the door. The words echoed louder and louder until they weren't words anymore, just a deafening roar inside his skull. Mark's vision blurred. He felt the cold, skeletal fingers curl around his ankle. The last thing he saw before the darkness swallowed him was the door at the end of the hall, perfectly shut again, silent, untouched, as if it had never been opened at all.